Hi everybody, it's Roddy Browning with the Flying Pig Pub and Kitchen, and today I've got something very special that I want to share with y'all. It's a dish we call Dada's chicken. My kid loves it. She's loved it. She's called it that since she was 5 or 6 years old. It's a one-pan pickup. This whole dish, including the salad, is like a $20 dish to make at home. There's no need for any kind of delivery service when you can do high-end cooking like this. Very simple with great ingredients. You can just do it at home. And the chicken that we're using today, which I'm a big fan of, is called Redbird Farms. I use things like Mary's Free Range. I use Jadori, the organic chickens from Costco, for those Costco people that are out there. I got this one at Winco. I think it was $8 for the whole chicken. So super cost effective, but just a really, really good product. So let's get started. So the first step is we're gonna prep out the vegetables. So today I've chosen rutabagas because it's kind of from the South. We grew up eating rutabagas. Some red potatoes. I like red potatoes when you're doing them roasting with this chicken like this because of the starch content. They have a nice kind of firm texture, a great flavor. Brown onion and just a French shallot, and then a couple little organic carrots. So with the rutabaga, so we're gonna kind of clean up the ends really quickly. Go ahead and get these peeled because these actually have a very thick skin. So when it cooks, it doesn't cook like the skin of, let's say, like a carrot or a potato, which you actually eat it, which I prefer. So I do go ahead and take the peeling off of this. And it helps to have a nice sharp peeler. And be careful, don't cut yourself. So now on the onions, so we all know you get that skin off of it. You always leave the root side on the onion if you're gonna dice it. Today, I'm gonna cut it into wedges because I want a little bit bigger onion, but if you're ever gonna dice it, leave the root on it. It's so much easier when you're trying to hold the onion together to dice it, and it makes it go so much easier. Nice big chunks. All that goes into a little vegetable bowl here. When you're cooking root vegetables, you know, potatoes, beets, turnips, rutabagas, whatever it is that parsnips, also very good, is that everything has to be cut based on like the texture of this rutabaga. It's a little bit more dense, so these are gonna be a little bit smaller than the actual potatoes because we want everything to cook evenly at the same time. The faster you want it to cook, the smaller pieces that you need to cut. And I like to cut these little odd shapes, and the reason being is because, so like these little thin pieces on the outside here, they'll kind of get a little bit more of a caramelization, and you still are left with the center that has a nice little bite to it. So, of course, the potatoes, we're gonna do a little bit bigger cut because they'll cook faster than what we're doing on the rutabagas. Same thing with the carrots. Carrots have about, we'll say they have a similar texture between the rutabaga and the potato, right? So we're gonna cut kind of, again, like medium-sized pieces, something that we're gonna make sure is gonna cook all the way through. So now the vegetables are all done. So spatchcocking a chicken is very important when you're roasting it because you wanna get the surface flat and you want the chicken to cook evenly, right? So, which I do spatchcock it, but there's a specific reason why I do what I call a half spatchcock. So first things first with the chicken, we're gonna take it out of the package, gonna pat it down, make sure it's nice and dry. And then when you flip it over, you'll see here from the neck down, this is the backbone that they're talking about cutting that out, right? When we're talking about spatchcocking it, right? But right here is what they call the chicken oysters. And the chicken oysters are probably my favorite part of the chicken. So what I'll do is, yes, I will spatchcock one side of it, or just basically cut the spine on one side of it, so I can get that flat, you know, that flat caramelization on the breast that we talked about. But I'll leave this side because I want to eat that piece of chicken because it's going through all this effort, and it's only about this big. It's very small, but it's very special. So here we go. Again, a really sharp knife, this helps, and you just kind of score it down the back like that. Watch your fingers. And you'll see there's bones in here, and you'll hear them. So now that that backbone has been, we'll kind of press it. I don't know if you heard that pop or not. To kind of flip the chicken open here. I like to leave all the little bits on it, all of it. These big things of fat, I like to leave all of it on there. We flip these wings upside down like that. And the reason why we do that is because that helps to kind of spread that breast out in the pan. So there you have it. We still got part of the backbone here with the chicken oyster intact, but now we've got this nice flat surface that we're able to cook the chicken all the way through. So next step is to let's get her fired up. One thing that's very important too, I'm using a small convection oven, which I absolutely love my oven. So I'm gonna set it at 400 degrees to get it nice and preheated before we take it over to the pan and sear it, because the last thing you wanna do is say, uh-oh, I forgot to preheat the oven and I've got the chicken ready to go into the oven. It just delays the process. So let's go ahead and we're gonna do so salt and pepper on the skin side of the chicken. I do just salt. And the reason being is because we're gonna sear it at a really high, kind of a higher temperature in this beautiful cast iron pan over here, and pepper tends to burn. So what I'll do on just this side is that we take our nice clean hand and our salt pig here, as we call it, and just give it a little bit of salt. You know, I didn't put any oil, anything to kind of bind the salt to it. We're just gonna let it sit here for just a hot minute, and it'll kind of pull out just a touch of moisture right before we put it in the pan. So now the next step is we've got our oven ready to go. We got our bird salted on one side. Now I'm gonna slowly heat up the pan. All right, so we got just a slight little smoke happening with the oil, so the pan's nice and ready. We're gonna take it over, get her cooking. And as always, make sure you do it away from yourself. And what I'll do too is I'll weight it down just for a couple of minutes, just to kind of give it, kind of flatten that surface and really caramelize that skin. Because really, this dish is amazing, but what makes it amazing is the crispy skin. It's so good. So you'll notice now, after that nice hot sear, if you see what I'm talking about, see that beautiful caramelization that we want? We don't want to take it past that, because then you actually start to burn it. So now the next step is we're going to move it over here to the cutting board, because we got to put the vegetables underneath it. So with that, we're going to do that now. You got to be very careful not to rip that skin. So this is the first part of the process. So now the pan's still nice and hot. Now we're going to add the vegetables to it. Give them a little bit of just a touch of a sear there. So now here too, we need to salt and pepper this. They can do a nice, good amount of salt. Just like that. Give a little bit of a olive oil drizzle on it. Let that cook for just a hot minute. So you can see we're starting to get some color. Beautiful. Now we take our chicken, we're going to put it right back on top. Just like that. I'll move this off to the side here. Now, we're going to season it with some herbs and, of course, the magical substance known as butter. We take our herbs, which today we got a combination of, this is a little bit of a lemon thyme and French thyme and some sage that we just happen to grow in some pots here at the house. Super easy to do too. Right on top of the chicken, and a very generous helping of butter. Then I like to finish it with a little bit of salt. And then in the oven she goes. Now, the big question is, how long does it take? Well, it takes as long as it takes. So that happened to have a lot of vegetables on it. The bird was about average size. So what I have is I use a meat thermometer, which is a digital meat thermometer, which is something like this similar. So what it does is you probe it into all the way to the bone, and you're looking for at least 165 to 170 degrees at the very, very center. And that's when, you know, once you pull it at about 165, it'll come up, it'll actually, the temperature will rise on it as it rests, and you should have a perfectly cooked chicken. So it usually takes about 30 minutes. So while the chicken's in the oven, we're gonna make this nice little, very simple little vinaigrette. I like this recipe being that it's dried because a lot of times we have all these things in our cabinets and we don't necessarily have access to quick. If you're thinking, oh, I wanna make a quick vinaigrette, oh my God, what do I have? So this is actually made with dried ingredients. So it's a Dijon mustard base, red wine vinegar, olive oil, a little bit of chili flake. I like a little spice, as does my wife. A little bit of onion powder, some garlic powder. We've got some kosher salt, but any kind of dried green herb will work. Rosemary, sage, anything that you like, anything you might have in your cabinet. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take all of our dry ingredients, we're gonna put them in the bowl. So we got our onion powder, we got our garlic powder, we have our dried herbs, some kosher salt, a little bit of chili flake, just a little bit, because you don't wanna light your guests up. Then we take, we're gonna do two tablespoons Dijon mustard here. Put that in there like that. Then we're gonna take our vinegar, which this particular one calls for a half a cup of vinegar, but like I said, you guys will see the recipe, I'll share it with you. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of put all this stuff together. Got a nice little whisk here, and then we just kind of mix all this together. A nice tall bowl is helpful because if you get into this in a small bowl, you can see what can happen. So just basically like that. So now here's what people miss on doing salad dressings. So the idea is that you don't just take the oil and dump it in there. You want to incorporate a little bit of air to really emulsify this. So you just basically just kind of whisk it in a little bit at a time. And you'll start to see it kind of thicken up. There it is. Kind of scrape along the sides to make sure you get all the good stuff. And that, boys and girls, that is it. This will last in your refrigerator at least a few weeks. Just make sure you put it in something that's covered because you don't want it to get all gross and dried around the edges. But super good. You can see the consistency in its salad dressing. It's not super thick, but it's also not super watery. It's just a very basic salad dressing. You should never be afraid to make your own salad dressings. They're so easy. I mean, that just happened. Like that was, we didn't cut anything, we didn't slow anything down. That's how long it takes. It takes minutes. So speaking of which, I can smell the chicken in the oven. So give that one little whisk there, and we will put this in the refrigerator until we're ready to serve it. Okay, so this is just not once a year type of equipment, right? Now we have an opportunity to use this once a week if you want to. So this is just a regular turkey baster. And we just take, you'll see in the pan, you'll see some liquid. The butter has obviously melted. We're just gonna take and just give it a little drizzle over the chicken, which is looking lovely. So now that the butter has melted through the herbs, I like to kind of take the herbs off of the chicken breast itself and then kind of put it off to the side. But the idea is that that butter's gonna melt with those herbs and really incorporate that flavor. Just get all the little parts. And I like to do it all over the vegetables too. So the whole idea, you know, is that you're getting potatoes and root vegetables that are cooked in chicken fat. So we just talked about, you know, basting all the vegetables that are underneath the chicken as well with the turkey baster as well as the chicken. But really, what's super cool about putting your potatoes and your vegetables on the bottom of the chicken, as that chicken cooks and all those juices and fat just kind of trickle out, well, guess what's happening? Those vegetables are being cooked in all that chicken flavor. And you've got the butter, you've got the herbs, we've got salt, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of pepper. So you have all those wonderful flavor components that are cooking those vegetables, as well as the flavor of the vegetables themselves. All of that stuff is now being basically slow braised in chicken fat, which that just sounds amazing. All right, so we've got our salad dressing ready to go. Now we need to make a nice little, just very simple but delicious salad. So these bagged greens, you can get them at any of your favorite local grocery stores. Always check the date on it. The longer the fresh date is, the better the fresher it's gonna be. So just always look at that. So these things kind of expand quite a bit. So I usually use about one of these smaller bags. And again, we're trying to feed four adults. So about a month ago, we picked this avocado off of our trees. So they're just now starting to come through, which I'm very excited about. This happens to be a Hass avocado. Beautiful color. See that mustard yellow center? That's when you can tell that they're nice and ripe too, is that will just come off in just one piece, just like that. And I always cut this little center off. So now you've got this beautiful, beautiful avocado. I can't wait to try this. We've also got today, I like fennel. It's in season right now. Fennel has like a nice kind of a sweet licoricey texture to it. Kind of cut the ends of it off. Again, we're gonna score off the bottom of that. And we're just gonna take and just do a little bit of shaving of the fennel. Just like that, nice and thin. And it smells like licorice, it's so good. I love fennel. So we'll put that in there. We've got some little organic Persian cucumbers, which I like a lot. They're nice and sweet and nice and crunchy. But you don't want to make giant pieces, right? They got to be fork manageable. It goes into your salad like so as well. This happens to be one of our oranges. So what I'm going to do with this guy is I'm just going to take and go ahead and just cut the peel off of it. So what I'll do is I'll just take and cut it in half and then just cut little half wheels in it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of put it on the salad like that. Now we're going to take our avocado. Fan that out a little bit. Put that on top, make it look all bougie. Now, a little bit of salt. Then what we'll do is we'll take our dressing when we're ready to serve it, and we'll just kind of drizzle it around the top of it and then toss it in. And now remember, the dressing, a little bit goes a long way. So you can always add to it when you underdress it, but you can't take it out when you overdress it. It's just like salt. So there we go. That's just a little basic garden salad. We've got oranges, fennel, cucumber, avocado. Salads shouldn't be loaded with too much stuff unless you specifically are using that as a showpiece. This is more of an accent piece. So we just want some nice, some little bit of tart flavors, some rich flavor, and just that wonderful vinaigrette. Really, and use this wonderful crispy lettuce as a vessel to kind of pull all that stuff together. So we're looking for the internal temperature of 165 at the bone. So 165, you still might see a little bit of color up against the bone, a little bit of red, and that's okay. Don't be afraid if you see a little bit of red next to the bone on the chicken. It's completely normal. And quite frankly, I don't mind it because I know that I'm not overcooking the chicken. Okay, so our chicken's almost done. Now comes the magical part, making the pan sauce. So what I like to do is we'll take the chicken, once it's ready, we'll take it out of the pan, we'll let it rest. We'll also take the vegetables underneath it, put those in a separate bowl, keep those nice and hot in the oven. And then we take that leftover wonderful, wonderful stuff, the fondant, all the good stuff that's left in the bottom of the pan, and we're gonna make a pan sauce. But to start with, we're gonna dice up this little shallot because that really kind of helps to make the base of that sauce just light it up. So we just peel back that one layer there. It's a beautiful shallot. Cut a little just like that. Just one nice little fine dice on the shallots here. Shallots are good because they kind of bridge that gap between onions and garlic. I just love them. They're just delicious. And one last time, I'm going to check the chickens. My internal clock is telling me that the chicken's ready. So you can probably see the color, and that's also an indicator of I feel like that this chicken is ready. Let's go ahead and temp it. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so now we're gonna pull that chicken off and just let it rest like that. And we're gonna take the vegetables out. Now I'm using a slotted spoon for a reason, because I want to retain that pan sauce, because that's gonna be our finishing sauce for our chicken. So these look beautiful. Love all that color. Okay, now comes time to make the sauce. So what we're gonna do now is now we've got all this chicken. There's some chicken stock in here. There's also some fat. You can kind of see the way it's separated in the pan here. But we're gonna heat this up, get it nice and going. We're gonna put our shallots that we diced in here. Just like that. So now that these are kind of starting to color a little bit and they're softening up. And if you notice, I keep moving around the pan because I don't want to burn them, because anytime you burn shallots, you get a little bit of a bitterness to them. And it just, not that it really ruins the dish, but it's an unpleasant flavor. So you just want to make sure and kind of gently cook them. And these are probably ready. So now what we'll do is we'll add some chicken stock. A good amount, because we want to make a lot of sauce. So I'd say probably about a cup. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up to temperature, bring it to a boil, and then it'll start to reduce down, and you'll start to kind of see that the sauce itself kind of gets this creamy texture look to it. You want this to be a nice concentrated flavor. I mean, you don't want it to be overly salty, but like on your chicken, you should be using about that much sauce. You don't want this thing swimming in sauce, because the sauce is just going to dominate. It just needs to be more of an accent. So that's about the texture that we're looking for. Almost looks like a gravy. And granted, all this is just, right now, is just chicken stock and a touch of salt. That's all that's in there. Which that's what makes it so special. And it's from, you know, we have some chicken stock, but a lot of the stuff, when I'm scraping off all the stuff off the sides of the pans and whatnot, it's all that was given to us by the chicken beforehand. Now we're just going to add a little knob or two of butter. Let that melt in there. And what this, it's this cold butter, what it does too is it makes this creaminess even more, kind of thickens it up just a little bit. So with that being said, we are going to just go ahead and put our sauce in the pan. We have our serving cup here. But really, it's time to cut into this beautiful chicken. So what we do, take a nice sharp knife, which is obviously crucial. So the chicken is, from the touch, is still pretty hot. So you got to be careful with that. I think this one's rested quite enough time. A friend of mine brought up a good point. When you eat these chicken wings when they're roasted like this, it really shows an appreciation when you go out and order wings, because obviously there's only 2 per bird. So if you order a dozen wings, you know, that's 6 chickens. So with that being said, let's go ahead and cut into here. And you just follow, the best way to butcher out a chicken like this is just to follow the joints. So I don't know if you heard that crunch, but see there's the joint bone there. And then same thing with the leg here. So we just kind of find wherever the bend is. And you just cut down through it, because you're cutting right through the bone. And as you can see, we've got perfectly cooked chicken. So we'll just kind of play around with it a little bit. Like that. Same thing with this guy here. And as you can see there, I don't know if you're getting all that, but that's the magic. See all that moisture? I mean, it's just oozing off this chicken. Wow. Again, trying to keep that skin intact. So we go back to what I was talking to you about, the chicken oyster. So if you peel back this piece of skin here and you look right here, that's your chicken oyster. I know all that for that, I get it, but trust me, it's worth it. That's gonna do for my boy Matt today. Go ahead and cut that out, get that out of the way. So now we're left with the airline breast. So there's a bone that runs down through here, right? You can cut these little nibs off too if you want. Or you can leave them on, it's up to you. However you want to do it. Oop, it squirted on me. So I really want to kind of show the breast. And if you see just the moisture content of that, I don't know if y'all can see that on camera or not, but man, oh man, that looks amazing. Whew, it's still hot. Now you could just cut all the way down the bone and just serve it on the bone, but I'm just taking it off the bone for my guests here. Man, this thing is still hot. Just cut down the side there. A little bit of what's our wishbone there. And for those of you watching my butchering techniques, yeah, I know. But we're just getting it on the plate for now. Take a little bit of our hand sauce. Make sure and kind of stir it up because the shallots at this point are kind of floated to the bottom, and we just do a little plating over the, just like that. So that concludes Dada's chicken. You know, so it's cooks in one pan. This whole thing put together that's about to feed 5 of us, 5 adults. It's about 20 bucks. Again, don't be afraid to make your own salad dressings, your own pan sauces, and roast your own chickens. If you're patient with it and you pay attention, you're gonna get a product that looks like this, and looks dynamite. Can't wait to try it. Enjoy.